It starts quietly. You're 5 years old, knees on the carpet, crayons scattered all around you. You've drawn something you're proud of, a beautiful house with a happy family. And when you're done, your whole face lights up, because you're about to show it to the people whose attention means everything to you, your mom and dad. You hold the drawing with both hands, smiling so wide it almost trembles. "Look what I made!" But what you receive is a half-second glance before their eyes drift right back to the TV show they're absorbed in. Very nice. Said without seeing, said without meaning, said without slowing down long enough to enter your little world. And in that instant, something ancient stirs in your small chest. Maybe I'm not good enough to be looked up to, or loved deeply. And this is where affection begins to fade. You tuck your excitement away. You hide your disappointment. You learn to shrink the parts of you that hope for love and care. Maybe your parents confused providing with loving. They thought food, clothes, and a roof meant you were cared for. But a full stomach can't replace a warm hug, and a safe house can't substitute a safe heart. This is the quiet grief of children who didn't receive enough affection while growing up. And today, we're going deep into the psychology of that child, because the effects don't disappear with time. They echo. They follow you into adulthood, into the way you love, the way you trust, the way you carry your own heart. And unless you understand what happened, you'll keep repeating the patterns that once protected you, but are now quietly hurting you. Because when affection is scarce, a child doesn't just feel ignored, they feel wrong. Their nervous system reads a parent's distance as danger, as if the absence of warmth must mean the absence of worth. Children are wired to seek connection the way lungs seek air. Attachment isn't optional, it's survival. So when emotional closeness isn't offered freely, a child does something extraordinary. They reshape themselves to earn it. They become quieter, softer, less demanding, more pleasing. They learn to sense the parent's mood before their own. They learn that joy should be toned down, that needs should be hidden, that love might be conditional. And because the parent isn't intentionally cruel, just overwhelmed, distant, distracted, or emotionally unavailable, the child never gets a clean explanation. So their brain fills the silence with a conclusion that feels like truth. It must be me. This is the psychology of emotional neglect. It doesn't leave bruises, it leaves beliefs. That your feelings are inconvenient, that your needs are burdens, that affection is earned, not given, that love is something you should never expect too much of. And so, without knowing it, the child begins to disappear, not physically, but emotionally. They become a version of themselves built around one goal: to be easy to love because they don't feel lovable as they are. This is the developmental rupture that happens when affection is absent or inconsistent. Your identity bends around the hope of being chosen, and little by little, the child who once ran across the room with a drawing in their hands begins to edit themselves into someone easier to raise. Not easier to love, just easier to manage. You quiet your excitement because excitement wasn't met with joy. You soften your needs because needs felt like pressure. You learn to make yourself small in the hope that someone will finally notice you. This is how the disappearing begins. Not in one dramatic moment, but in 100 small ones. You start watching people more closely than they watch you. You study tone, silence, distance, not because you're sensitive, but because inconsistency became your baseline. You become the child who reads the room before speaking, who rehearses their emotions before showing them, who carries their feelings alone because sharing them never led anywhere warm. And when someone does offer you a moment of kindness, you don't know what to do with it. Your body tightens instead of opening. Your mind whispers, "Why now? What do they want? Is this real?" Affection becomes unfamiliar. Warmth becomes suspicious. Attention makes you uncomfortable. as if being seen is somehow unsafe. And so you hover between craving closeness and flinching from it. You feel embarrassed after saying how you feel. You replay simple conversations as if they were mistakes. You apologize for things that didn't require apology. You assume you're annoying when you're simply being honest. Because emotional neglect doesn't just teach you to hide, it teaches you to doubt every soft thing that comes your way. You grow into a child who becomes too mature too soon, too self-contained, too independent in ways no child should ever be. Not because you were strong, but because you had to survive without softness. And that survival pattern doesn't dissolve with age. It becomes the blueprint. You become someone who offers care easily but struggles to receive it. Someone who listens deeply but never feels safe opening up. Someone who gives love with sincerity but questions whether you deserve it in return. And the saddest part? You don't realize you disappeared. It felt so gradual, so quiet, so normal in the home you grew up in, that it became your personality. Because the child who disappeared doesn't magically reappear in adulthood. They simply learn to disappear in more sophisticated ways. You grow up, but the patterns grow with you. You enter relationships wanting love, yet flinching the moment someone gets too close. Not because you don't care, but because closeness feels unfamiliar, as if warmth might collapse the moment you lean into it. You crave tenderness, but don't quite know how to receive it. A compliment feels suspicious. A gentle touch feels undeserved. Someone understanding you feels almost impossible. Your nervous system still expects what your childhood taught it, that affection is inconsistent, that attention isn't safe, that love is not guaranteed. So when someone offers you genuine care, your mind searches for the catch. Your body holds tension instead of trust. And even in moments of joy, you feel a quiet distance, as if you're watching your own life from the doorway instead of stepping fully inside. You become hyper-aware of silence, tone, pauses, the tiniest shifts in someone's energy. Not because you're dramatic, but because you spent years monitoring emotional weather just to stay safe. And when conflict arises, you don't express your needs. You shrink. You overthink. You take the blame before anyone asks you to. You apologize for your feelings before you even allow yourself to feel them. Love becomes something you work for, not something you trust. Care becomes something you earn, not something you believe you deserve. And the loneliness that began in childhood follows you quietly into adulthood. The ache of wanting to be held while being terrified of what might happen if you are. You give endlessly, but struggle to let anyone give back. You show up for everyone, but keep your own wounds hidden. You become the strong one, the stable one, the reliable one, all while carrying a heart that was never fully carried by anyone else. These are not flaws. These are adaptations. The adult version of the same survival strategy you learned sitting on that carpet, holding a drawing no one stopped long enough to truly see. And until you recognize this pattern, you move through life feeling like something is wrong with you, when all that's truly wrong is that you were taught to navigate love without a map. Because beneath the adult who overthinks, who loves carefully, who trusts slowly, there is still a small child sitting on that carpet with a drawing in their hands. A child who never truly stopped waiting for someone to look up, for someone to see them, for someone to say, "Come here, show me, I want to understand you." That child didn't vanish. They didn't grow out of their longing. They simply learned to hide it behind maturity, behind independence, behind being the strong one. But inside, the ache remains. It shows up every time kindness makes you tense, every time affection feels overwhelming, every time you want to open up but feel embarrassment flood your chest, every time you give more than you receive, hoping someone will one day notice the effort underneath your silence. This is not immaturity. This is not weakness. This is the child in you, still waiting for the warmth they were promised, but never consistently received. And if you listen closely, you can still hear their quiet questions. Why wasn't I enough? Why didn't they see me? Why did love feel like something I had to earn? Why did I have to be the easy one? Questions that never got answered, so you carried them into adulthood, mistaking them for your personality. But here's the truth. Your inner child didn't need perfection. They needed presence. They needed someone to turn off the noise, put down the distractions, and step into their little world. They needed softness, not just shelter. Warmth, not just food. Connection, not just caretaking. And the part of you that still struggles today, the part that doubts, questions, hesitates, the part that feels unworthy of uncomplicated love, is simply the child in you still hoping for the moment they never got. That moment where someone finally looks up and doesn't look away. Because healing doesn't begin with fixing. It begins with noticing, with turning toward the part of you that's been waiting for years to finally be acknowledged. The moment you stop blaming yourself, the moment you stop calling your softness weakness, the moment you stop telling your nervous system to get over wounds it received before it even had words, that's when things quietly begin to change. You start to understand that your patterns weren't failures, they were protection. Every apology you didn't need to give, every feeling you swallowed, every moment you pulled away from affection, all of it was the child in you surviving the only way they knew how. And now, as an adult, you get to offer that child something no one else ever did: safety. You learn to sit with your discomfort instead of judging it, to let small moments of kindness land without searching for the catch, to let someone's warmth in without shrinking from it. You learn to give yourself the gentleness you once waited for from others. And it won't be sudden, it won't be clean. Healing rarely arrives in big, cinematic moments. It comes quietly, through small choices, soft boundaries, slow trust. Through telling the younger you, the one still holding that drawing, I see you now, I hear you now. You were always worth looking up to. Because you were never asking for too much. You were asking for exactly what every child deserves: warmth, attention, presence, affection. And now, you finally have the power to give those things to yourself, to rebuild safety from the inside out, to let love feel less like a threat and more like something you're allowed to receive. You are not broken, you're becoming whole, slowly, tenderly, at your own pace. And maybe for the first time, you're finally learning how to grow in the direction of love instead of away from it.